All right, let's start right here at section 2.3, which is focus of a parabola. Now, what exactly is a focus, you may wonder? A focus, if we take a look at our vocabulary term, is a fixed point inside of a parabola. So wherever the U-shaped is on a parabola, it's going to be inside of that. And directly opposite of the focus will be the directrix, which is a fixed line that is opposite of the focus, and that will be opposite or outside of the parabola itself. It's not going to intersect it. It's not going to intersect it ever. So it's going to be underneath or above or to the side, depending on which way the parabola happens to go. So if we take a look right here, let's look at the standard equation of a parabola with the vertex at the origin. So remember, when the vertex is at the origin, there is no shift, horizontal or vertical shifting. It is the vertex is at 0, 0. So the first equation right here is y is equal to 1 over 4p x squared. So when you look at this equation, hopefully we first off recognize that because it's just x squared and there's no parentheses with x plus a number or x minus a number, that there is no horizontal shift, and because there's no plus on the outside to the right of the x squared, it's not going up or down. Now, one thing to note though is this 1 over 4p. This 1 over 4p is actually in the same location as what variable before, or we call it which term. Hopefully, you thought to yourself, it is the a term. Right in front of the x squared has always been the a term. There could be nothing, which means that the a term is equal to 1, or if it's greater than 1, it's a vertical stretch. Less than 1, greater than 0, vertical shrink. So this 1 over 4p, hopefully we remember, and we'll be using it quite often today, is that is our a term. So moving along, if we take a look at the diagram right here, we have our vertex at 0, 0, and then up above it or inside of the parabola is the focus, which is at 0, comma p, whatever our p term is. If we know that, sometimes they might tell you that the focus, they give you the actual coordinate of the focus. It's at 0, 5. What that tells me is that the directrix right here, which follows y is equal to negative p, the directrix will be negative 5. If the parabola happens to be going downwards, as you see in the second one, well, the focus is once again inside, and then the directrix is y is equal to negative p, so you go ahead and figure out, well, what would that be? If the focus right here is at 0, negative 5, when you plug in into the equation y is equal to negative 5, you'll get this line of y is equal to 5, which is where it is up here, above the x-axis. All right, so they tell you right here, what's the difference between the two? It's when p is greater than 0, you have an upward facing parabola. When p is less than 0, it is going downwards. Remember, the equation of majority of lines happen to start with y. Right? A linear equation is y equals mx plus b. So whenever you write the equation of these lines that are going horizontally, don't forget, you must start it with y. However, when we scroll down, now we're going to look at axis of symmetry that happens to be horizontal right here. Horizontal axis of symmetry, y is equal to 0. So if the axis of symmetry happens to be y equals 0, then we have ourselves now a sideways facing, either to the left or to the right, facing parabola. The equation stays the same, almost. What needs to stand out right here is that in a horizontal facing parabola, instead of y is equal to x squared, it's x is equal to y squared. And you'll see right here that we get x by itself. So if you look at a function now and you realize, hey, wait a second, I see y squared instead of x squared, that's not a mistake. That right there is telling you that the parabola is going left or right. And then you need to solve for x in that instance. So if the equation once again is x is equal to 1 over 4p times y squared, same thing right here, this 1 over 4p, this represents or equals what our a value is. Our focus is a little bit different. It's p comma 0 when it's based off of the vertex. So we go right here, 0, 0, and then you can see the reason why it's p is because it's going to be going either left or right of it, which is going to be your x value. So if this is p comma 0, then the directrix will be directly opposite of it, which would be x is equal to negative p. Don't forget, we use the value of x for vertical lines. And so your function will look something similar to this if p is greater than 0, and it will look something similar to this if p is less than 0. So it's important for us to know and figure out, well, what is our p term? They might give you the directrix, they may give you the focus, and either way, you'll be able to figure out what our value of p is. Now, right here, we take it one more step further because our vertex is not at the origin, it is at h comma k. And remember, hk represents x and y of the vertex. Let's pay close attention to our equation. Y is equal to 1 over 4p. Remember, this represents our a value. And then you can see right here in parentheses, we have x minus h. So it could be x plus 5, x minus 5, you name it. But it's in parentheses squared. You want to take, remember, that tells us whether it's shifting left or right. The plus k or minus k will tell us if it's going up or down. The focus right here, remember, is going to be along this axis of symmetry. So therefore the focus is h, okay? It's the value of h stays the same as you can see right here. What differs is k, right? For the focus, it's going to be whatever our initial y value is of the vertex plus p units or minus p units for the directrix. That's why they show you right here. If it's inside going upwards, plus k. For the directrix, it's k minus p. All right, so k plus p right here, k minus p for the directrix. Remember, it's staying along this vertical line. So then next up, let's take a look right here when we have a left to right facing parabola. Okay, when it's a left to right facing parabola, or the axis of symmetry is a horizontal line. Horizontal lines start with y. So if this is my vertex, right? That's hk. My value of h stays the same for the focus. Or sorry, our value of h, we add p to it or subtract p for the focus and the directrix. The value of k is what stays the same because remember, we are moving it left to right along that horizontal line. So h plus p, you can see for the focus, h minus p because it's directly on the opposite side of the vertex. So let's try to make a little bit more sense of this with some examples. We're not going to do numbers 1 and 2, but let's go ahead and move down to number 3. So we're going to start off right here. It says identify the focus, directrix, and axis of symmetry of the parabola. I look at number 3 right here. Several things should pop out. Remember, look for what variable has the exponent. Is it going to be x or is it going to be y? If x has the exponent, then it's going to be a parabola that's either going to be going up or down. The thing right here is we need to make sure that our parabola, first off, is in standard form. Okay, before we determine what's x, what's p, and all that stuff. So if I look at my equation, I have y all by itself, no exponent. So let's get y by itself. All right, so start off, we'll get y by itself right here. And let me take the equation, and then we'll divide both sides by -2. So y is equal to x squared over 2, or -x squared over 2. Okay, so that's a start. Hopefully we realize that the vertex right here happens to be at the origin, okay, because there is no like x and then parentheses or x plus 5 or x minus 5 quantity squared. So let's go ahead, safe to say right now, I'll plot my vertex. Because it's y equals, I should know that my parabola is going either up or down. Now, let's figure out a few things here to kind of help us. Well, where is our focus? Where is all this other stuff? Remember, we have our equation, right? If you go back, it says the equation, we need to know, if we want to find the focus, it's 0p, 0 comma p. So I got to figure out, well, what is my p term, okay? If I take, remember, this first part in front of this equation, this -1/2, right? This is actually the same thing as -1/2 times x squared. So let me rewrite it right here. If I rewrite it as -1/2 x squared is equal to y, these two are the same equations. And remember, we said that this part right here actually represents a. And think about this. If I need to find p, there's only one equation that I have. It's that 1 over 4p. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right here is take this -1/2 and set that equal to 1 over 4p. And then this is the only way I can solve and figure out the letter p in this instance. All right, so there are several ways we can go about solving this. We could cross multiply. I got -4p is equal to 2, and p is equal to -1/2. So that is our value of p. So for my focus right here, all right, knowing that that is my my value of p, let's go ahead and put the focus. Remember, because it's going up and down, or in this instance, it is going up downwards, the value of x is going to stay the same. So that'll be 0. And what we're going to go ahead and put right here is 0, 0 comma, and then p, which is -1/2. Or 0 plus -1/2 if we were to use it the vertex form, or the standard form of parabola with the vertex of hk. But hk is 0, 0, so that's why I could say 0 minus 1/2, or 0 plus 1/2. So I can go ahead, I'll put this in green right here. This is where the focus shall be, which tells me that the directrix should be on the opposite side. Remember, the distance from the vertex to the focus and the vertex to the directrix is exactly the same. So that's why we have our equation right here. remember they put, for our equation, is y is equal to negative p, right? This, remember, is p. So for my directrix, I can go ahead right here, fix that up. So for the directrix, I can go ahead and put y is equal to negative, and then negative 1/2, which equals positive 1/2. And that's the equation of this line right there. So bottom line, if this is the vertex, this is the our focus, my parabola should be going downwards, something like this. And it should probably be pretty wide or wider because my a value is less than 1, greater than 0. All right, so we have our equation right there, all taken care of. Let's go next up. Let's take a look at number 4. All right, there's a little bit of work to be done here. If I want to figure out right here what is the focus or anything, we got to make sure we take our equation and set it equal to either x or y. So right here, looks like, remember, y squared, or y has the exponent, which should tell you that your parabola is going to go left or right. So in order for us to actually figure out which way it's going, we've got to do some work to solve it out. You probably would want to do this on a separate sheet of paper, just so that you have enough space. And then when we divide both sides by 5, negative 5 right here, and remember, when you divide, you're multiplying by the reciprocal. And so x is equal to, we have positive 1/5 over 15 y squared. So let me go ahead and write the equation up here. X is equal to 1 over 15 y squared. All right, and don't forget, the reciprocal of negative 5 is 1/5. So that's where I took negative 1/3 times negative 1/5 and end up with 1 over 15. So now that we have that, let's put things together right here. Remember, our origin happens to be our vertexes at 0, 0. So I can go ahead and plot that point down right here. All right, we have 1 over 15. That is our a term. So down below right here, let me go ahead and take 1/15, and I'm going to set that equal to 1 over 4p. So cross multiply, I've got 4p is equal to 15, and p is equal to 15 over 4. All right, so there's that right there. P is equal to 15 over 4. So now it's got to kind of use some common sense right here and realize, okay, if my parabola is going, now let's see, if it's my a term is positive, what I know right here is that it is going to the right. If it was negative, it would be going to the left. So we got to figure out, well, where exactly is our focus? So the focus should be right here at 15 over 4, which is approximately 3.75. Okay, 3.75 is our number. And let me just make sure one thing. All right, so yeah, everything looks good, 3.75. So that would be roughly right around here. So for my focus, remember, we're shifting it to the right, so that means we need to put that 15 over 4 right there, comma 0, because it's not moving up or down, it's moving left to right. So for your directrix, it should be equidistant, same way on the other side of it, on the opposite end. And remember, this is an equation of a vertical line. vertical lines start with the equation x. And x is going through this point, which is negative 15 over 4. And this is your directrix. All right. I want to go ahead and clean this up right here. Oh, axis of symmetry would be the vertical horizontal line. Y is equal to 0. Let's take a look at number 5. This one you should be a little bit more familiar with. It is in vertex form. Okay, so let's figure out, well, first off, where's our vertex? Although they didn't really ask for it, the vertex is at, hopefully you put it down, -1, -3. We have right here, my A term is 2 and it is going downwards. Okay, so it means it's reflecting and down. So let's just kind of show where the graph is. -1, -3. We're right around there. There's your vertex. And we have to figure out what our value of P is. So we can figure out, well, where exactly is our focus and directrix. So let's take right here. We got our -2. And let's set that equal to 1 over 4P. We'll do our cross multiplying again. So I got -8P is equal to 1. Divide both sides by -8. And I have -1 over 8 is my value of P. All right. So now, this time our directrix or our axis of symmetry and all that stuff, it's not at the origin. Neither of them. If I have right here y is equal to x squared, then I know that I have myself a parabola that's going vertically. It's going up or down. So I can go ahead and start off right here. I'll draw this dotted line. That dotted line, hopefully you know, represents the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is this equation, x is equal to, and then we have ourselves right there, where it goes down through the vertex, -1. Okay, so that's your axis of symmetry. We found what P is, so we have to figure out, okay, exactly where is that going. And so remember, P is going to be along the axis of symmetry, which what's going to change is not your value of x, but it's going to be your value of y. So for your axis, let's start with the focus. Our value of x stays the same. That's -1. But what are we going to do? We're going to take -3 right there, and then we're going to, hopefully you realize, we're going to add or subtract. Make sure you look at the equation, and then it says that we are going to add P. So let's add right here, -1/8. All right, so you put all that together. Let's figure out your focus. So your focus is at -1, and we can go ahead and put -3 and 1/8. So it's -3 and 1/8. It is a little bit further down. It's actually going to be hard to kind of show, but it will be right there. The green dot was initially our vertex, and we have ourselves a vertical stretch, so it should be a little thinner, stretched out. And then above it, it's not going to be all that accurate because the intervals are probably way too small. But we have ourselves our line that goes horizontally. It is y is equal to, what is it? Let's take our value of, you want to take your value of, what is it, k, right? So -3, and then we're going to go ahead and subtract -1/8 from this. So y is equal to negative, we could go ahead and put 2 7/8, and that would be the exact value for that. All right, moving along. The last parts, write an equation of the parabola. Fun times. Um, so let's see what they give us. They give us the vertex is 0, 0. So if I think about that, I just need to use the equation y is equal to 1 over 4 p x squared. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? Let's think about this. Vertex 0, 0, y is equal to 1 over 4 p x squared. So I got to figure out, well, what exactly is p? I look right here, they show me the focus. The focus is at 0, 5. Remember, our focus, the equation is 0, p. So if my focus right here is 5, then I should be able to realize that p is equal to 5. So how about this? If I now know that p is equal to 5, I could take that value, plug it into our equation, y is equal to 1 over 4, and then right here, let's plug in 5. That's my value of p times x squared. So y is equal to 1 over 20 times x squared. And there is our equation of the parabola, just like that. Let's take a look next up at number 7. We got ourselves a horizontal facing parabola. It looks like the vertex is right here, which is at, looks like it is at the origin, okay? Lucky us. So remember, when it comes to a sideways facing parabola, the equation is y is equal to 1 over 4 y squared. Okay. They give us right here the directrix, right? The directrix is equal to negative 7 over 12. All right, so that is my directrix. Well, remember, we need to try and find, let's see what P is. Okay, I gotta try to figure out, well, what is P? And with the directrix right here, we have our equation for horizontal, where it's x is equal to negative P. Well, what exactly, once again, is P? Let's take right here, I know that we have this 1/4, which is your A term, and let me go ahead and put right here, our A term is supposed to be equal to 1 over 4p. So this will allow us to figure out what p is. I've got 4p is equal to 4, and p is equal to 1. So what we could say right here is this. For our directrix, I can go ahead and say that x is equal to, and then we have negative p. Let's see. Sorry, I'm going crazy. This part right here we can disregard because that's based off of the parent function. That's why they gave us a directrix. If I know right here, let's plug things in. The directrix is an equation of a line, and it's a lot easier than what I just did. Let's take negative 7 over 12, which is x, and set that equal to negative p. In order for us to figure out what p is, we divide or multiply both sides by negative 1. So if I divide both sides by negative 1, p is equal to now positive 7 over 12. So there's my value of p. Don't know why I thought that was a lot harder than it should be. So we're at that part now. So p is 7 over 12. Now let's go ahead and use the equation up at the top that I had and put everything together. X is equal to 1 over 4. P, we'll plug in right here, 7 over 12. And then multiply that by y squared. So we can go ahead and simplify this, just worrying about what's on the denominator. 4 and 12, they cancel each other out. And so we're left with If we simplify this, it's 1 over 7 over 3. And then when we're dividing, remember this is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So this ends up being 3 over 7. All right, so this right here is your A term. So you put everything together, x is equal to 3 over 7 y squared. All right, and there you have it. We now saw how to write equations for vertical and horizontal parabolas. Now it's your turn.